Hello, and welcome to Black Box Online Radio. It is now Thanksgiving Day, and I just wanted to say Happy Thanksgiving from my family to yours to all of you in whichever corner of the globe you're coming from. Hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful day, and I am thankful for you guys. I have to say that there is nothing that I have loved more over the last 3 years than doing this daily segment. But right now we are at some evolutionary times because this will be the final daily segment for a while. And no, I'm not going anywhere. It's just that uploads are going to be coming out every other day. And in December, it's going to change in a few different ways. Once we're done with our book discussion on The Myth of the Zodiac Killer by Thomas Henry Horan, then it will probably only have episodes coming out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But the good news with that is that I'll be able to make larger episodes, maybe 40 minutes, 1 hour long. But doing this daily segment has been a good time, and talking about a lot of different subjects has been a good time, especially when we look at the different serial killer cases and we learn how do they operate, and not only serial killers, but just true crime in general. Because for a while, we used to always say that the driving force of the channel was what is going on with humanity? How do we have a greater understanding of humanity? Those were some of the things that I said before. And then I would also have some lines such as, we want to just know what the truth is. Like when you're listening to a show or reading a book or watching a documentary and somebody says something, and you're like, wait a second, is that really true? Then you want to find out a little bit more and you want to read up on the subject. And the real ambition for about a year and a half on the channel, this was just whatever I was reading up on or whatever documentary I was watching. And I wanted people to view this setup as that, just if you were to watch a documentary, then you would be talking about it to somebody that you know. Like, that's the way that I wanted this channel to be viewed as. I'm obviously not an expert. I don't have any type of degree in any of the major sciences or psychology, but that is one of the reasons why I will be doing episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the future, because I will possibly be starting a PhD in psychology. I mean, I have the provisional admission, and it was something that I had last year in the fall of 2019, but because of all of the setbacks that we've had this year in 2020 with the COVID-19, I was able to just defer and, just kind of keeping that always on the back burner, like, well, what should I do about this? And that is two different programs, but we'll see if I can actually go down that pathway. And I'm really leaning toward yes, but it's just something that's a very big possibility. But then I would actually have some academic credibility to talk about these things because we really get into the psychology of true crime on this channel, and I often found that I was talking about those aspects much more so than reading police reports and looking at the things like ballistics or just anything to do with the forensic sciences. I find that stuff absolutely enthralling. I mean, I watch Forensic Files just like anybody else, 48 Hours, and those two shows, Forensic Files and 48 Hours, were some that really captivated me. And I think that this channel took a major turn in 2019 when I just came up with this metric, if I'm using that word correctly, where I would watch one true crime program every day. That was just like my exercise, my mental exercise. Watch one true crime program every day or listen to one podcast every day because I started using Forensic Files in 48 Hours in the podcast formats. I got them from radio.com, and then I would just take it out walking as well as just, in some other parts of the house or something, just lean back or something with like a cup of tea or something like that. And I would just follow along with that. But I really found that if you're listening to the stuff every single day, then you're able to compound all the things together and you're able to really look at these two cases. What are the similarities and what are the differences? And with human psychology, I found that that was somewhat valuable. But I mean, we can't really just do anything in terms of shutting down the channel. We have to keep going because we're really making some amazing ground with the Zodiac Killer and with our new book discussion on the myth of the Zodiac Killer by Thomas Henry Horan. I'm really getting really hyped up about some of this stuff. I'm excited about this. And somebody left a comment once, I believe it was Ed1, like EDD1 from the UK, when he said he never gets tired of the Zodiac Killer case. No, I don't either. It's just, in the future, we will be doing some things about Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? So it would be like the Zodiac Killer, maybe one of the days of the week would be reserved only for the Zodiac. And I would like to do one day for just Q&A, Ask Me Anything, which we can talk about the Zodiac Killer as well. But then Ask Me Anything is anything. And already some people are pouring in questions because I make the announcements about those things. So I think that's also great. And then a third day would just be a type of open-ended discussion. It could be any subject as fair game. It would mostly be true crime oriented. In the past, we used to talk a lot about politics, and I had a few episodes like that were politically themed, talking about Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard. In 2018, we actually had a running thing on Andrew Yang and universal basic income, and it was like constantly trying to weigh the merit of his idea about giving people $1,000 a month. I just wanted to know more about that, but I really don't think we're going to be doing anything too political. Maybe once a year there'll be something like that, but once a year, and we've already done that for 2020 because we have the upcoming presidential election and now the previous presidential election. But I think that there are going to be some other cases that will be much more valuable to discuss. And in October, we did a series on paranormal hauntings and activities, and I can definitely say that that was not the most well received series that I did because I'm not a genuine believer in that stuff. I'm a skeptic. I like learning about the stories, and I like learning about the different ways in which people evaluate the information and the different things about what's going on. And with the haunting of Sloss Furnace, we learned that there's a ghost story that's told there that's actually based on the death of a real person, and the historians have gone out and found out. They know who his name, they know who he was, they know what his name is. It was Richard Jowers, and I found that that was just something that was equally exciting for me to learn about, and it's an absolutely horrific case, about like just learning about the way that somebody died. There's a lot of morbidity involved, and when I say that it's exciting, it's that human desire to know the truth. And speaking of learning the truth about things, a lot of the cases that we were talking about are unsolved, and one of them that I've only gotten into in 2 uploads was the case of D.B. Cooper. And I would like to say, if you want to hear more about that, I highly recommend you go over to Drew Breeson's channel. He has a book out called Paratrooper of Fortune, and you can follow along with his episodes on the Zodiac Killer as well. They're called the Zodcast, and we have interviewed Drew on this channel before talking about his book Paratrooper of Fortune, and the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because I learned from his most recent video that the DB Cooper hijacking, the skyjacking if you will, took place on Thanksgiving Eve, and it's now Thanksgiving Day, so if you'd like to go over to the description box here, you can find our interview with Drew Breeson on his book Paratrooper of Fortune. This channel depends on your support, but never asking for any money. All you gotta do is listen. If you like what you hear, you can share it with your friends on social media. But most importantly, just listen. And of course, you can hit that like button, subscribe button if you want, and leave some comments below, continue the discussions. But I would highly recommend you check out that interview with Drew Breeson, as well as visiting his channel to learn about his suspect in the D.B. Cooper mystery, Tom B. Braden. So as we look at many other cases, I think that yeah, serial killers are interesting, but unsolved mysteries are really what gets people going. And I found that when I talk about true crime on this channel, people do like to hear about the Zodiac Killer, right? But people also really seem to be very receptive to the disappearance of Brandon Lawson, the murder of Missy Beavers, the disappearance of Maura Murray, and of course, Madeleine McCann. There was a big one that I was planning on doing about Madeleine McCann. In short, I wanted to do a larger special on the accidental death theory versus a murder theory versus some type of, witness protection program that stems from the sting operation theory. And I just wanted to make the bold claim that in the Madeleine McCann case, no matter what, if you say that she was murdered, you will not get the timeline right, because I think there's some things that we could actually contribute. And I was talking about this with somebody back in 2018 once, and someone who didn't even really know about the YouTube channel. I just mentioned that I follow true crime and mysteries and unsolved cases, and that person said that do you ever think that you're going to actually solve a case yourself? And my short answer to that in 2020 now is no, absolutely not. Definitely not from the standpoint that I use the social commentary issue where we read different articles and watch different documentaries. I don't think that I would solve everything in a case on my own. Number one, I learn things from you guys in the comments section all the time. That's why you are so valuable, and I love your comments. I'm so thankful to you guys. Happy Thanksgiving once again. But I mean, it is true. I do learn things from you. And the other thing to say is that maybe we could be going down the same pathway where you get an inclination, a suspicion, a hypothesis that you want to test out, and you can meet in the middle, like one person who has, read all the police reports and one person who has read a book on the subject and watched a documentary. They get the same type of intuition and they get the same type of idea that just sets off the power grid, and then you can meet in the middle, and it seems like you're actually going down the same pathway that'll lead you to the truth. I think that we've encountered some things like that in the Zodiac Killer mystery when, you look at certain clues. And what I did say on this channel was with the Zodiac mystery, maybe I wouldn't solve the case entirely on my own. Even from everything that I've learned about from you guys in the comments section, maybe we wouldn't solve the entire mystery all 100% finito, but perhaps we could look at something and maybe eliminate one of the major suspects and provide some very convincing reasons about why this person could not be the Zodiac killer. With the Zodiac Killer mystery, I would have to say that I don't have the comment in front of me, or else I'd give you a shout out, but somebody left an insightful statement once saying that there's a reason why all of us are following the Zodiac Killer mystery. Because during the October AMA, I made a comment how I'm the only person in my family that watches animated films and that watches cartoons at all. Like, I kid thee not, no one else in my family is into that stuff. And with that one, someone left a comment saying that there's a reason why all of us follow the Zodiac Killer mystery is because we have that same type of personality where you have someone like because the Zodiac gets heavily involved into things like comic books and works of literature and like dramas like the Mikado, which is, I guess you'd say, an operetta. And some things that I recently learned about from Mark Hewitt is that it's possible that there's Zodiac Killer connections to the book The Secret Agent by Joseph Conrad. And there's a reason why we get into the Zodiac mystery because we're into things like literature and comic books and artwork, and that human fascination and enthrallment with artistic creations, but then you still want to know about the darker side of humanity, that morbid curiosity, as well as human empathy, where you want to like think about the victims. So people who have just that curiosity for the darker side of anything, and not everybody has that because I mean, you'll talk about true crime at a party or something, and some people get really freaked out that you're describing how people were murdered and such. But I really have to agree with that. And the problem with the Zodiac Killer mystery is that a lot of the lines get blurred. Like we talk about how the Zodiac Killer may have been somebody who couldn't differentiate between fantasy and reality, and they're trying to. He or the group of people involved with those murders was trying to bring these types of fantasies to life, perhaps there was somebody who was trying to act out fantasies of being very tough and powerful, but also ideas that he got from comic books and, as we said, operettas and books and dramas. He was trying to act those out and in real life, blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. And the writers of many Zodiac Killer books, and even us in the audience, are also blurring some of the lines between fiction and nonfiction because it's almost as if people are talking about all of these suspects, but not every single suspect can be the Zodiac killer. It's not like an opinion on something where, well, okay, maybe this person has a few good points. No, I mean, there is a definitive answer who was committing those murders in 1968 and 69, and a lot of that just gets blurred together. And if this were just some type of fictional world, then we could keep exploring it from that type of open to interpretation aspect. But there are definitive answers that I think all of us want some connection to. Not only, I mean, a lot of people do have their suspects and they do want to be proven right, but at the same time, I think they would also want to know the truth as well, even if there was a little bit of blowback from making a bold claim that didn't turn out to be 100% true. But even if their suspect isn't the guy who committed those murders in 1968 and 69, I'm sure that most of the true crime writers who have a book out on the Zodiac Killer would have at least one or two claims that probably turned out to be correct. Maybe some of these literature interpretations as well. I mean, we just brought up about how Mark Hewitt was talking about Joseph Conrad and the Secret Agent. I had never even heard of that book before. I had heard of the Secret Sharer, I think, but I definitely want to read the Secret Agent now, and that could be another thing that we could explore in the future, looking at some of the references in the Zodiac Killer mystery come to Joseph Conrad, and of course, The Most Dangerous Game, and the other things that are in that we've talked about as well is the film Bloodlust from 1961, but we have done that one in the past. We could do some revision as well, because this year on the channel I also did a couple re-uploads where I just really wanted another stab at it, and I also noticed that and in the past, I was just doing what I call the old-fashioned black box recording, where they just had that screen blacked out because I was like, this is called black box online radio, and I wanted to just kind of put up some new material with, or talk about the same case, but with a little bit of graphic and imagery going on. And I think that that's just the future. I mean, black box online radio, that worked for a while. I mean, in retrospect, it's amazing that anybody would listen to what I had to say at all. But I mean, those are some of the most listened to episodes on the channel, just the things with the black box, because you will find that all the time. A lot of people say they don't like it, but I mean, on all of the more famous channels, even Howard Stern has loads of clips on YouTube that are just in the old-fashioned black box recording. And this sounds really silly, but the first time I ever listened to an episode of anything on YouTube where it was just a black box on the screen was some guys that were actually telling really, really nasty, dirty jokes, and they just didn't want their faces shown, so they blacked out their webcam, and they were just telling nasty, dirty jokes and such. But that was like when I was must have been 20 years old at the time. And no, I don't. I mean, your sense of humor rarely changes, so I still find most things funny. I mean, I always try to be open with humor and find the laughter in most things. But aside from any of that, another great reason to put up a few more graphics is, I mean, not only will you guys listen to me, but you can also see what I'm talking about, like when we did the expose on the Halloween card from the Zodiac Killer mystery, or perhaps just see some visuals of the people that we're talking about in any of the cases. So, for a while I was using the pink bubbles on YouTube. I mean, that is so fabulous, is it not? And I was so nervous about putting out this Zodiac Killer upload that had pink bubbles moving on. I thought this is gonna look silly, or it's almost like mocking the victims. It's too silly to do. But then I put out an episode about the Zodiac Killer with pink bubbles moving around, and people didn't seem to mind. And I was like, wow, maybe sometimes I'm just a little bit too neurotic. But the problem is, though, with those old uploads that had that pink bubble background, that was just a YouTube effect, and YouTube has started to delete it, so then it's just turned in once again to the old-fashioned black box recordings. But and that was a big reason why I wanted to redo my series on the Great Zodiac Killer Hoax of 1986, because it has multiple backgrounds. Like, it has some pink bubbles, and one episode has the snowflakes, and then, like, one or two things in there have the red sparks that are moving around. And I was like, I want to do this in a more consistent way, as well as go through the full repackaging of the book, The Myth of the Zodiac Killer by Thomas Henry Horan. The Great Zodiac Killer Hoax of 1986 is only the first part in his series, so, I mean, it's like continuation, and that was just something that I wanted to know more about, and we'll say some more things about that in the book discussion. I would invite anybody to check that out as well, where we're looking at the major things that I was curious about. Number one, were there multiple perpetrators in the Zodiac Killer mystery? And number two, was Robert Graysmith an active participant in the Zodiac case? So I think that those questions are just some of the most fascinating things in the world. But yeah, so let's look out for some new things on the channel. We will complete that book discussion there, and then in December at a certain point, things will switch over to perhaps just a Monday, Wednesday, Friday segment where the episodes would probably be at least about 40 minutes long. Another real good thing about that is with a daily segment, I'm just talking about whatever I'm going through, like whatever material that I'm reading up on or learning about. if I can do things 3 days a week, I could do so much more research and actually just put time aside and be like, all right, I'm gonna really try and finish this book so I can talk about it. And we could do a full-scale book discussion in perhaps a more presentable format instead of having, 10, 20-minute segments. We probably could just do one hour segment and where it would really just be like the very solid points, and I could practice a little bit more and really get the material down, and hopefully the presentations would come out better. So let's look out for some things here on Black Box Online Radio. Once again, if you would like to hit that like button and subscribe, it really helps out the channel. And the best way you can help out the channel is also by listening to more content. So we have that interview with Drew Breeson on his book, Paratrooper of Fortune, D.B. Cooper, and That Mystery in the description box here. Also, I would invite you to check out Drew Breeson's channel as well as Mark Hewitt's. And please look out for some things here on Black Box Online Radio. Until next time.